Well, hello everyone, thank you for coming. My name's David Oates. I'm the founder of Reverse Speech. This has been a field I've been pursuing for 24 years now, and what I hope to cover in this hour presentation with you today is the basics of reverse speech, what it is, some of the uses for it. You have to excuse me for sitting down rather than standing up, but I've got a computer to work here, so I'm going to be playing you a whole bunch of examples. Most of you would have heard of reverse speech as those strange messages in rock and roll. If you could cast your mind back many years ago, there was a big controversy that if you played certain rock and roll records backwards, you could hear these hidden messages. But I first heard about this phenomenon back in 1984. I was running a halfway house for street kids in Australia. That's my normal profession before I started into reverse speech. And I had a whole bunch of teenagers come into my office and they were playing these records backwards, and they asked me if I knew anything about it. Well, it just so happens I'm an electronics buff, so I went home that night and I rewired some recorders to run these records backwards, fully expecting to hear nothing but gibberish. But anyway, I'm going to play you just a couple of simple examples in music first, and then we're going to move on to the more significant part of reverse speech, which is its appearance in normal human speech. So here's a song by Creedence Clearwater Revival. Let's run this forwards first. It was down in Louisiana, just about a mile from Texarkana, in their Alright, now I'm going to run this in reverse. I'm going to run it at two different speeds and see if you can hear him singing I Believe in My Cool Woman. I believe in my cool woman. And again. I believe in my cool woman. Can you all hear that? Quite clear, quite plain. No, there's been no manipulation of this soundtrack. There's been no technical alteration to it. What I'm playing you is straight forwards and straight backwards. Now here's another one. This is a cool one from Marilyn Monroe. So we're going back in time a little bit here. I'm gonna find my place. And she sings in reverse. He'll come out full of magic. See if you can hear this. He'll come out full of magic. You hear that? That's straight backwards. So I was quite stunned. I started running these records backwards, and I was finding these backward messages, and practically every second record I looked at would contain some clear backward message, and I was quite stunned. I went to my local library to see if I could find any research done on the topic. I mean, surely there have been some books written, but I couldn't find anything anywhere except for one book written by a fundamentalist Christian who claimed that this was all the work of the devil. Anyway, about 3 months later, I was accidentally came across this phenomenon in normal human speech. And the first example I found was Neil Armstrong as he took his first steps onto the lunar surface. So let's run this, see if you can hear this forwards.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And we run this in reverse, and he says quite clearly, man will spacewalk. See if you can hear this.
Man will spacewalk. Man will spacewalk. Man will spacewalk.
Well, I was stunned. It's one thing to hear it in music, it's sort of like an interesting little hobby just to sort of play records backwards and find hidden messages, but to suddenly find it in normal human speech puts a whole different slant on the whole thing. So I started analysing speech and running speech back as often as I could, and I'm going to play you a couple of simple examples before I introduce my theory. This is this example from Bob Dole, who was running against Bill Clinton in 1996. You can cast your mind back that far. And he's resigning from the Senate, and he's speaking with great passion about his work in the US Senate.
You do not lay claim to the office you hold. It lays claim to you. Your obligation is to bring to it the gifts you can of labor and honesty, and then to depart with grace.
And we run this in reverse, and he says backwards, it's an honour.
It's an honor. It's an honor.
Do you hear that there?
Yeah.
It's an honor.
All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the whole soundtrack backwards, and you'll hear a little bit of gibberish followed by a slight pause and this very clear phrase, it's an honour, and then it goes back to gibberish once again. So here we go.
Sheriff the prophet in it. It's an honor to be able to name you speak with those here.
Could you hear that amongst the gibberish there? Quite clear, quite plain. And this is literally how reverse speech works. If you take any section of human speech and run it in reverse, about once every 20 or 30 seconds, you will hear these very clear phrases amongst the gibberish. That is what we are thinking and feeling at the time of speaking. It is our unconscious mind or our real self speaking in reverse. So let me pick up some other couple of simple examples. And here's a really easy one. This is Angelina Jolie saying she was very aware of her own emotions growing up.
I grew up and I'm very aware of my own emotions.
And here, this is so clear. And I'll play this. Listen carefully. What she's saying backwards.
I'm very aware. I'm very aware.
And here.
I'm very aware.
I'm very aware. Did you all hear that? We'll do it again. Here it is forwards.
I grew up and I'm very aware of my own emotions.
And backwards, I'm very aware.
I'm very aware. I'm very aware.
Okay, so we assume from that she is speaking she is being congruent. Sometimes reverse speech will be congruent to what the person is saying forwards. In other words, they are telling the truth, so the reversals will communicate the truth. Now sometimes, and many times, people are not congruent, and the reverse speech communicates a different message. And here is an example of an American evangelist, and he's preaching a sermon, and here we go.
Great things, boy, and I can do great things today. My friend, it just narrows itself down what he said to Simon Peter with the Sea of Galilee, lovest thou me?
And here he says, my vice is rancid.
My flesh is rancid. My flesh is rancid.
Since she'll stand his spine, hey?
Rancid.
And let's run the whole lot backwards, and you will hear it amongst the gibberish, then the reversal. See how clear that is amongst the gibberish? Amazing stuff, hey? Yeah. Did you notice that the reversal has a different sound to the gibberish? The gibberish is very monotone, and the reversal's got this very sing-song melodic tone to it, and that's very characteristic of reverse speech. They have a very unique tonal signature that you can hear and recognise when you're running these phrases backwards. So I spent from all of 84 to 87 just running speech backwards, finding these reversals. I gradually lost my friends, I'm serious. People stopped coming around to my house because they walked through the front door and David would be out with the tape recorder. Okay, what have you been doing today? So it creates some interesting pastimes. Anyway, in April of 1987, I wrote my theory of reverse speech and speech complementarity. I actually woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I had 2 words burning in my brain, and they were reverse speech. And I went down to my computer and I wrote the theory, and my theory states that the process of spoken communication is twofold. As all of us are speaking, we are creating the sounds of our speech in such a way that we're delivering 2 messages, one forwards from the conscious and the other in reverse from the unconscious. Reverse speech is coming from several different levels within the human mind, and I'll be playing some of these levels as the lecture goes on. Sometimes you can have conscious thoughts, in other words, what you are aware of thinking at the time of speaking. Like I might be talking to you here and I'm thinking about lunch when I've finished. So you might take me and I might have a message that says, oh, I want something to eat. Other times, reversals come from the deep unconscious mind, and it reveals our personality structure and our behavioural pattern, why we're doing the things that we are doing. I use this a lot in therapy. I get amazing results in the therapeutic context, and I'll be covering some of that in the short time I've got here. But let me play you a bit of a funny example. This is an example